dropped in the desert with a tray full of jams. My new orange boar pal is craving those snaps. With so much sand swirling, he crashed his candy car. Gosh, it seems like the hand of Jafar. Come on now, let's play some Lorcana. There's Flower Thumper, Bandy, lots of fauna. Let's build another blurple list as tasty as a Dole Whip twist. A smorgasbord of lore, it's Lorcana.
How much do you think Goofy gets paid per recording session?
Not as much as he gets paid for those delicious pancakes. I think he's quite the connoisseur.
He really is. Those pancakes look delectable.
Listen, it takes a lot of acumen to be able to run a successful flapjack joint in the middle of a desert.
Yeah, and there's no one better for the task than the Goof Master himself. They look like massive pancakes,
Big,
too.
fluffy, delicious pancakes. Way to go, Goofy. A multi-talented dog if there ever was one. Katie, it's good to see you here in front of the restaurant because you disappeared for a while there on a hunt for a scarab. I tried to warn you, but you just ran off after a scarab beetle.
Ugh, I tell you, I'm exhausted. I was wandering through the desert. I was following these weird scarabs. And you know what it turns out?
What?
Turns out it was all Jafar. Jafar all along.
Did you at least get some, like, cool, gigantic jewels out of it, or?
No, I was just led in circles.
Oh.
Round and round and round and round and round. And every time I found a scarab, I thought, is there going to be a jewel under this one? And there wasn't. And then eventually I just gave up and I came back here.
Katie, we cracked some packs. How did that go?
We cracked some packs, and this was supposed to be the year of the Chanty Pillar 2K25. And I've got to say that so far in the Raid of Jafar, we're striking out. We haven't hit any chanties.
Not only have we not hit any chanties, but we've had some pretty poor openings. Now, we didn't get as much product because we're, saving money and making sure that we can afford to have a child and a house. And all of these gigantic life changes are coming at us fast and furious. But we still opened a trove and a box. And we did not open well. We only got 3 legendaries in our box. And we got 1 in our trove. And 3 of them were Raya.
Yeah, very odd. It felt worse than what we thought it could be. If that makes sense. It was worse than what our worst case scenario was expected to be.
We also didn't open any, like, especially good foils of anything. You know, like, we didn't get a foil Monstro or a foil Beyond the Horizon or any of the kind of foils that might be playable cards. Like, we didn't have any bonus cards. There's nothing that we were like super excited to open. It wasn't a great opening for us. Luckily, we were able to supplement some of that with some trades so that we were able to flesh out some of the decks that we've been wanting to make. But at least for the first weekend, it was not a big success.
Yes, our trade binder's looking a little bit hollow right now. We're really squeezing as many trades as we possibly can out of our systems. And playing limited has been really helpful because you do get to open a bunch of packs when you're playing sealed or draft, which we have done both of so far.
Yeah, limited has been really, really fun. I think the set is much, much stronger than the past couple for limited. There are a ton of card draw options. There are a ton of removal options, at least by comparison to the past few sets. So it feels a lot more dynamic. It feels like games are capable of having a back and forth in a way that past couple sets really couldn't. So I had a lot more fun with this set.
Yeah, it feels super fresh. And last set, we weren't able to play as many limiteds right at the front of the set like we are with this one. And I just am reminded of how much better I know all of the cards from all of the different colors when I've played a bunch of limited, especially at the beginning of a set, because you play with, obviously, all the cards that you get, which are a mixture of all the ink colors and all these characters that you might never play in a deck. You might have an opponent play in a deck, and it's really great to know what Figaro does. Like, that's something that could have easily slipped my mind, and if someone ever plays it against me, I will have a better understanding of it now.
A wonderful way to learn a whole bunch of cards right at the start of the set, and it lets you know what you want to put in your constructed decks, so been having a good time with that. Katie, there's some other pretty big news to share.
Brett, there sure is. We're having another baby. Before we even have this one.
Yep, double babies. Nope.
Yep.
No.
No, that's not. No, sorry. That's not what it is.
Katie, what's the news?
The big news is that Kendall Hale is coming to town. Ooh, ooh.
Kendall Hale, a Lorcana artist of great renown. You are already familiar with his work, and you already love his work. In this most recent set, his works include Jim Deere, Beloved Husband, which is you've got Jim Deere and he's kneeling in front of the little mini ladies and the mini tramps, the little baby puppies. He also did the Cuzco Floodborn from The Reign of Jafar and Bill the Lizard, General Lee, so a whole bunch of works from the new set. But he also did Simba Pride Protector.
Ooh, that's a good card.
He did all of the Seven Dwarfs from Rise of the Floodborn, that series of linking portraits of the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, he did Bruni. Bruni, which might be the cutest illustration in all of Lorcana.
He did both the super rare and enchanted Mickey Mouse Artful Rogue, which is an awesome piece of art.
He also did that crazy kind of like cracked out Hans 13th in line, where he's got like a little bit of fire in his eyes. He's got a dagger in his hands, and it's great. Kendall Hale does awesome art. He was at the Seattle DLC when we went to it.
And we had a few metamates who got to attend a signing, and they spoke so highly of him. But anyway, Kendall Hale is going to be making 2 appearances in New England. He's going to be at Battleground Framingham on Thursday, June 19th. And he's going to be at our very own Diversions Summersworth on Sunday, June 22nd. Which also coincides with a case tournament at Diversions Summersworth. So that is going to be an awesome day. And we hope a lot of you can make it. It'll be worth making a bit of a trip if you live a little bit further afield. Getting to meet an awesome artist like that, get a signing, and also attend a case tournament. That's pretty significant. We hope you can make it. And Thursday the 19th coincides with the casual weekly tournaments at Battleground Framingham in Framingham, Massachusetts. So we were really lucky to be put in touch with Kendall and to kind of help connect him with some of the stores in the New England area that synced up with a trip that he and his family are making. So that was really, really cool. It's been awesome getting to chat with him a little bit, and we're super excited to get some cards signed, and we hope to see some of you at Diversion Summersworth in particular.
Yeah, I'm chuffed to bits that he's coming to our Summersworth store. I am so excited because Summersworth is where like the heart and soul of our local meta kind of lives, and it's a little incubator of it all. So it's so much fun that he's going to be there. I can't believe it. I can't believe it all worked out. I was so sure it was going to flake out on us or be like, it doesn't really work, or the dates don't work, or blah, 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 blah. But hopefully, like you said, it'll get some new blood up here. If you're from far away, come travel to beautiful New Hampshire. It's nice here right now. This is the time of year where it looks really cute and pretty, and you can see old historical things.
And there's lots to do. You can go to the beach, you can go to the mountains, you can hike, you can swim, you can do it all here in wonderful New Hampshire. If you're looking for more details about either of those events, again, check out Battleground Framingham and or Diversions Summersworth. We'll link those in the show notes as well.
Of course, of course. Hey, this has been great, but I am so hungry. I think we gotta head into the cafe.
Let's hit it. Good evening, Madame and Monsieur. It is very good to see you here tonight. You have come for a very special event. We have a pie eating contest.
Oh, that's what that is. So we saw the big line of people. We saw people wearing bibs, but we weren't quite sure what was happening over here today.
Yes, it is a very special contest, and there is a gentleman I am a very big fan of. He is perhaps one of the best contestants you have ever seen. His name is Thiago Santana.
What?
Do you not know Thiago?
No, well, we've heard legend of Thiago.
Yeah, I hear he's like a really, really great competitor.
Yeah.
Yes, he is one of the best. Perhaps you would like to go in there have a chat with him.
I'm so surprised that there's a pie eating contest here. This is the first time we've had something like that.
Very, very cool. Should we go talk to Thiago?
I don't know. You sure he's not too locked in on eating pies?
I mean, he looks really focused, but I think we got to go for it when in Rome. Francois says he's a big shot, so
sure.
Let's go for it.
Let's shoot our shot.
Hey, Thiago, how's it going?
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. We hear that you are quite the competitor.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a pie that has stood a chance against me.
Thiago, we're so delighted to have you here in the Lorcana Cafe. You are a local metamate of ours here in New England, and you've made quite a name for yourself in a very short amount of time in the Lorcana community here. And so we're so excited to have a chat with you.
And that's because of all the pies that you eat.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with your successes. It really has to do with how
Nothing
many
to do
pies
with
you can.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, so for those of us who aren't familiar with your game, perhaps, Thiago, you recently had an undefeated run during Set Champ season. In the midst of that, you also went down to a convention in Hartford, SCGCon, and you competed on all 3 days. You won the event on both Saturday and Sunday and made the top cut on Friday, I believe.
On Friday, I barely missed the top cut. I was X1 going to the last round, but I ended up losing, so he did not want to ID me, so I'm a failure.
What a failure.
Yeah. That's unironically what I told myself, so yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, Thiago, you only won 2 out of the 3 events that weekend.
Yeah, it was
Pretty
a bit of a
run,
disaster.
Huh?
But yeah, no, that weekend was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of people.
Yeah, so you've had just an incredible run, and that's why we're so excited to have you aboard the podcast and to have a little chat with you. Let's talk about your history in card games. I know that Hearthstone was a big part of your past.
Yeah, so I first started playing games on my 10th birthday. I got a Magic the Gathering starter set, and so then my dad and I started playing, and we went to all the tournaments and stuff, but I was very, very young, right? I was 10 years old, and so I played that for about 4 years, and I would do like pretty well in their like big tournaments, right? Like they have equivalent to DLCs, right? These 2,000 player tournaments where anyone can go. I would always do very well on day 1, like I'd go 7-2 or something like that, and then on day 2 I would just fall apart because I was this little 13-year-old kid who like couldn't handle pressure or whatever. But then we moved to Brazil, and in Brazil it's really difficult to get like the Magic tournaments like here, and it's really difficult to access the cards and whatever. So then I started playing Hearthstone, which was online, which kind of skirts a lot of these problems that Magic had in Brazil, and that would have been at the end of 2016. And then I played until about 2020, and in Hearthstone I played in all the like what would be equivalent in this game to like Continentals, or like I played in all their like Masters events and some other like smaller invitational events where they would get 16 people qualified and put them in a studio and whatever. I got rank 1 in Hearthstone maybe like 8 or 9 times, and then I haven't played a game since maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and then I picked up Lorcana at the start of this year. And I mean, the game is just so fun, right? I could not stop playing it. And so then I just started jamming games online, and I could not stop myself. And I just played, I think since the start of the year, I probably played about like 650 best of 3s online or something. So
that's amazing. It led you to success online too, right? There is a certain online client wherein maybe some people are able to play Lorcana, and you're able to reach rank 1 and 2 with 2 different accounts, right?
Yeah, so right after the ban, I had been sitting at, I don't know, like top 10-ish before the ban came, but I would never play Blue Steel. Like, that was disgusting. Unbelievable. But then when the ban hit, about 2 days later, I hit rank 1 on my account, and then I made a brand new account, and 6 days after that, I hit rank 1 with also passing myself. So that was about a month and a half ago, and then last week I hit it again on both my accounts 2 days before the season ended. But then the season ended, and I finished in 2 and 4th because on the last day of the season, I was flying to Miami for SSG, and then this rat Wochuck waits for me to get on my plane. I'm like telling him I'm on my plane, then he queues and passes me. It was so disgusting, that rat.
Oh, whoa, Chuck.
Awful.
You've been called out, sir. You have to answer for your crimes, whoa, Chuck.
Not
more
allowed.
Like, whoa, yuck.
Well, Thiago, there's a lot of passion that I hear when I talk to you about card games. Like your love and appreciation for competing and for the game, and your like the joy that you experience in competing is apparent. And you also mentioned, playing Magic with your dad. Now, we know your dad as a competitor, and in fact, we met your dad months before we ever met you, and he was playing Lorcana, and he's a great player himself. So Is that something that you've been able to share, over this like decade plus? Like has that helped grow your passion to be able to play with him?
Yeah, absolutely. Like when I was going to these Magic tournaments 12 years ago, like I was a little kid, like I could not be going by myself like on these weeknights, and like that's why I say I was like way more spoiled than any other kid, because like my dad would get back from work at 6 and then he would go to drive to the store and we'd be there at 6:30 and then we'd stay there until the middle of the night and then he'd have to like wake back up to like go do his job, and like we wouldn't just go like one day a week, we'd go like 3 days a week or whatever. And so yeah, when I was playing Hearthstone, it doesn't have the physical aspect that Magic or Lorcana do, so we wouldn't go to the store like for a long time. It's like since I guess before 2016 when we were still playing Magic. But then that was like one of the main reasons why I wanted to play Lorcana, because yeah, I mean he had been playing. This SCG that I won 2 weekends ago, I actually played against him in the 4-0 bracket after he was like flexing to everyone because he beat Kendall Burdett the round before, and then he's like all feeling himself, and then we got queued into each other. But yeah, no, he is definitely he's a good player, but don't tell him I said that.
He's a heck of a player. And he has this like graciousness about him where he's always so complimentary of whoever he's playing against. Like he's always like, "Oh, Brett, like, you're such a strong player. I'm going to definitely lose now." And then, he just like crushes people, right? Like he's so self-effacing and then just ruins people.
Trying to get in your head,
Yeah, it's mind games. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so great. It's great. And I think Lorcana is a game that has specialized in a way that other games maybe haven't, in bringing families together and playing together as families. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and he'd been playing the game for a long time. Like I just started playing January this year, but he's been playing since the start. He was like fighting for set 1 cards and whatever, and then he's like trying to get me to play. And earlier this year I finally folded, and like, oh god. No, I just lost my entire life. Just minus 20 hours a day.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to do that.
Yeah,
easy
super
to get swallowed up.
addicting. We've often said on the pod that, we played Hearthstone as well. Not nearly to the level of competitive success as you, but we really enjoyed the game for a good amount of time. And we were playing up until Christmas of last year. And from the moment we played our first Lorcana game onward,
then it's over.
Yet to play Hearthstone. We never touched it again.
It's sad. We miss Hearthstone. Hearthstone's so fun, and it's so great that it's on demand like that, but Lorcana's just so much better.
It would be so great to have a truly well-supported online client.
Yeah, if there's Lorcana on the phone, like, I will never be taking a poop break without getting some games in.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for that day. It's coming. It has to.
So something we love to highlight on this pod specifically is we like to cater to all kinds of players, right? Players who are super experienced, players who are not at all experienced. What would you offer to someone maybe who has not played before, tips for competing in Lorcana? So not just like playing in the store and having a casual time. What are some competitive tips you have?
My number one tip is stop changing your deck. That's number one. Like, just play the same deck, learn all the lines. I'm absolutely calling out Brett here. No, but Brett,
yes.
Brett is like such a good player that I think in the 3 tournaments I played with him, he played a different deck in each one and made the top cut in each one. But like, I think if your goal is to like do as best as you can every single tournament you go into, like I think a lot of people at the stores we go to like really want to always do well, but then you kind of get into this thinking of like, what's the right deck for this tournament? What's the right deck for this tournament? What's the strongest deck right now? And I think if you just play like a good deck and play it over and over and over and over and over again and understand all the lines, that, you'll do better than if you try to find the right deck for the tournament, which people aren't always like going to the tournament where their only goal is to do the best they can. But if that is your goal, then you shouldn't look for the right deck and instead just play your deck well.
Yeah, I can definitely see how you've adopted that. When we first played, you hadn't been playing that long. I could tell that you had experience in games and that you were methodical about the way you were approaching things. And then the leap I've seen you take in just a few months, the fluidity with which you were playing, in particular, your Amethyst Steel deck, it was readily apparent, right? Like as soon as I'm sitting across from you, the verbiage you use, you could see that you were even saying the same things about the plays you were making. Like it was all like almost muscle memory. this goes in the bag. I'm deciding on this trigger. Okay, yes, I'm going to skip this. I'm going to go on to the next marble in the bag. You were just saying that the way that you were approaching the game, like the physical way that you were holding your cards, that you were playing things, like you could tell that you just had so much experience and you had found something that had really worked for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that stuff, like the announcing and stuff, I just think if you know everything that's going on, it's just best to verbalize everything, make everything as clear as possible for yourself and your opponent. Like I mostly play online where like that is not a factor and everything is clearly laid out. So like you'll never see me trying to like catch a fast one on someone because like online that's just not something that happens. You just always know everything that's going on. So I just try to replicate that in person. But yeah, I mean, I think it's incredibly important to know all the different goals you're trying to accomplish in a matchup where it's like, here I want to do this and there I want to do that, and knowing how that changes depending on what deck you're playing against. When you already know that, as you said, through muscle memory, then you can actually focus on like things that are changing within your game. Like if they're playing a certain card or inking a certain card, you like take all that information and then you're trying to like read what their hand is and read what their goals are trying to be, instead of like worrying about things that you have to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's that understanding of the meta that we always talk about, that we always come back to, especially when people ask for tips about how to improve as a player, or if they find themselves only being able to play in one style. They only exert in Quest. That's the biggest thing that we always come back to. So that's reaffirming to hear from an outside source too, that it's all about understanding your matchups and understanding the meta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of tips, we are, of course, not just a Lorcana podcast, but a Disney/snack/Lorcana podcast. And so are there any foods that you like to make sure that you have access to when you're going to a big event?
That's funny because every time I go to a tournament, the night before I like try to go to a grocery store or something, like even if I have to walk 47 minutes there and 47 minutes back, I just get like these giant bottles of water, and I take like 2 of these giant bottles of water, and I always get like beef jerky and granola bars, and then I like open the beef jerky for the first time and like take a bite of one of the like strips, and then I realize like, oh wait, I don't like beef jerky, and the last 6 tournaments I went to that I bought beef jerky for, I just did not eat this. But then I still do it without fail. And then I buy granola bars. But usually when I'm in tournaments, like I just don't feel like I want to eat. So like sometimes I'll like eat like French fries or something before a top cut. But I don't know if it's I'm nervous or what's going on. There's a protein shake that's like coffee flavored that is so disgusting. And I always have one in the morning and then one like if I'm IDing for a top cut, I'll have one then. And then they have like caffeine in them, so it's like protein shake with caffeine. So like those are kind of OP, but they're disgusting.
so it's almost like a superstition with you more than a practical.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not getting any nutrition from the one bite of beef jerky I'm eating.
God.
So there you go, folks. If you want to go undefeated across a set champ season, all you have to do is buy some beef jerky and then not eat it.
Yeah, buy foods you hate.
It's so expensive too to not eat. It's like so ridiculous.
So you mentioned getting nervous potentially before a top cut. Do you find yourself getting nervous very often? Because you seem like a cool cucumber when I play against you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get nervous. I think like I put so much pressure on myself to always, do very well, to like even the point where if like we split in a top cut and then I lose after, even though we split the prizes, like I'm still upset at myself for having lost. Like there's definitely like an obsessiveness to not losing, and that makes, me afraid of losing. And so, yeah, I mean, I absolutely get nervous, but it's just kind of one of those things that you kind of learn to shake off. I think a lot of people, when they get to the finals of their set champs, or when they get to like the top 4 of a Winnabox or whatever they're playing in, people very frequently split, and then they like lose the experience of playing in those more pressure scenarios, or like every time they make it deep into Swiss, they like ID into top 8, and then they might go a set or 2 before they make another set champs finals, and then the next time you do, it's like you split the last time, and that was like 6 months ago, and so you're not really getting like this practice in constantly like competing in games where you feel like it matters. And so it's like easier for me to shake off the nerves because I always want to like play and want to like learn. And like at the start of this season, before the set champ season, like I got second in a win-a-box and second in a 1K. And then after that, like, I just rattled off, I don't know, like 5 finals in a row because, I had gotten the experience, I was ready, and my opponents obviously had not played in so many finals. So yeah, it's just something that you have to work through, but it's always going to be there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's so funny. We were watching some of the coverage, the live coverage from Miami, and we're cheering you on. A bunch of our metamates were saying, Thiago, he made the cut. Oh, he's in the Final Four. And I messaged you right after, and you had this great run and like basically had a matchup that you couldn't have done anything in the top 4. And I was like, great run. That was awesome. Like, way to go, going down to Miami and kicking butt. And you're like, I guess so. I feel terrible right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, we split the top 4. So, like, I got the same prizes that I would have gotten if I rattled off the next 2 wins. But, like, it still feels bad. Obviously, it's not a matchup I should win. Like, I got hypnotized from my discard deck against a deck that, like, you need to beat them by discarding. And so it was an uphill climb the entire time, and my opponent played well, but it really stings when you try so hard and then they just, like, I don't know, draw 4 foxes or whatever in their top half of their deck. It's ridiculous, but
totally.
Yeah.
I am happy with the results, but I definitely, next time I'm in that position, I will do a couple things slightly differently, and I think that will position me better to be able to take it down.
Totally. So that kind of turns our focus to the next set. We have a big meta shift hopefully happening. I always root for meta shifts. And you had this great run with Amethyst Steel. You knew that deck inside and out, and then you made a pivot here right at the start of the set. You pivoted to an Amethyst Emerald discard Diablo kind of focused list. So let's talk about the upcoming set. Do you think you're going to be your deck? Are you going to keep trying to iterate on that with the pull the lever and wrong lever cards?
Yeah, so I had been playing this deck kind of for a while. It was like the deck that I was playing more online. I never really played a bunch of Amethyst Steel online. It was more so just like a deck that I like to bring into paper because, like, decks like this green-purple deck, if they just have like 45 evasive cards in their deck, which some decks do, it's like you kind of just, there's generally not much you can do in those games, whereas purple-steel, you like kind of always have a chance. So it's like in these tournaments where if I just want like a chance in each round, I can play purple-steel and I know I'll play it well. But then in the last week of last set, when all the cards were revealed, I was like, purple-steel's not getting anything, and green-purple is. It's a deck that I'm really familiar with. I played a million games of it online, so I brought it back, and in the last week of last set, I was like, I'm going to practice this deck in paper because I'd never played in paper. And so I played it in 2 set champs, which I was able to take each of them down. But it kind of realized, like, this deck is pretty tricky to play in paper because all of your, like, Diablo and Prince John triggers, like, you're constantly thinking about something. And that's, like, not something you would have to think about online. So, like, even if you're not missing Diablo triggers, it's like your brain is still, like, having to use its energy on different things. And so it was kind of nice to get those reps at the end of last set when I knew I was probably going to pivot into this deck coming into the set. And so then I felt super comfortable playing it this weekend in paper. But I think the meta is going to stay pretty similar. I think Green Steel was the best deck last set, but people were just not playing it proportionally to how strong it was. And I think Beyond the Horizon doesn't actually change it that much. And like they're only playing a couple copies, and like in a lot of matchups, playing this expensive uninkable that forces you to tap your Prince John and Muses to sing it is like not that strong. But I think people are like really overrating it, and that's like forcing them. They're like, oh, this is so powerful. Now I'm going to play Green Steel, when like Green Steel was just the best deck, but like there weren't enough people playing it. So I think people are just going to like play it to how much it should have been played last set. And I mean, these like Amber Steel aggressive decks are like fine, like they're strong, but I don't think they're going to be anything like they're going to take over the game. I think Green Purple is super well positioned. Green Purple is excellent against aggressive Steel decks. Like I think you completely stomp Amber Steel. I was hoping to play against more. I only played against 2 Steel decks the entire tournament. Those games were super fast. I ended up playing against like all these Blurples and Purple Reds and like decks I thought people were not going to play anymore. And I think those decks will get phased out, but I think Green Purple is probably the best deck, and I will be sticking with it just because I have the most reps. But I think Green Steel will have the strongest season, and we'll see like Amber Steel decks flying around. But I do think the whole New World versions are going to be better than these like aggressive versions with Lady and Rhino.
Love to hear the specifics, drilling down into the predictions for the upcoming meta. How, I have to ask, because I think these cards are really fun, and they were cards that you, Katie, highlighted in our preview of Reign of Jafar. How were pull the lever and wrong lever for you?
I'm gonna be honest. Wrong lever might be the worst card I've ever played in one of my decks ever. That card was so bad.
No.
But I think like it plays a nice role in the deck. Like I didn't play against a single green steel deck. Like I ID'd with one in the last round when like we could have played. But I think your deck is like super susceptible to Ursula Deceiver of All on turn 3, and like having something like wrong lever to answer. Even if you're just returning it to your hand, then when they replay it, you can play Elsa and kill it, or something like that. So I think it is strong. It's possible that like the only card that like the numbers might change is like the wrong lever going down a couple copies, but like I think for the most part they're good. I think pull the lever is super strong. I think like just having 3 mana draw 2s in your deck, like that sounds so bad because we've been playing with friends on the other side for so long, but it ends up being so strong in so many matchups. And the flexibility to be able to discard's like kind of okay, but like Hypnotize was a card where it's super good against the red decks, but like I didn't expect the red decks to be super popular now. I think moving forward the red decks are not going to be that popular. I think if you really want to beat the red decks, you play like the 3 mana Fred that's like a reprinted Benja in green, just because I think the only actual good red deck is the Maurice's Workshop blue-red decks, and I think like purple-red's going to fall by the wayside. I think these blue-red decks that don't have Maurice's Workshop aren't going to be that strong because of the Beyond the Horizon decks. A lot of people message me after that who play green-purple, and they're like underwhelmed by the lever cards, but I think with the meta that I thought there was going to be and that I think there's going to be moving forward, they're super strong and stronger than like the other things you would play in those slots.
Yeah, like you said, having a 3-cost draw 2 cards is sometimes exactly what you need. And in particular, a 3-cost draw 2 that can't be hit by Ursula Deceiver is sometimes just what you need.
That's all encouraging to hear too, because you never know when something's going to be the next Sapphire Coil that people are going to be freaking out about, and then it ends up not being as big of a deal as we all think it's going to be, and it's just a major letdown. So it's encouraging to hear that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are worried about Beyond the Horizon, but I think it's just like an okay card that like makes some decks not super powerful, and then everything else like is pretty much the same, and it's like not really good in the matchups that people are going to be playing. So I think that's like the only card people were worried about, but every other deck just got like a couple cards, and it's nothing super game changing.
Now, we know that you're definitely a competitively minded player. Are there any decks or cards from the new set that you're excited to try, like as a little side project? Anything like you're like, oh, that looks fun, I could play that for a game or two just to like cleanse the palate?
Yeah, I mean, all of the Elsa Anna cards, like I always have an Elsa Anna deck strapped up, ready to go, ready if I need to give somebody the business, like Elsa will be turning sideways.
Very cool, very cool.
All right. Well, we love to play a game with our guests that we have here in the Lorcana Cafe, sharing a table, sharing a bite. The game is called Ink Play Banish. It works much like other games that one may play about marrying someone or perhaps unaliving them, etc. So we're going to give you 3 options. You're going to pick something to ink, something to play, and something to banish. We've got a bunch of different categories here. We're going to throw them at you. You have not seen these before. So this is just off the top of your head here, what you think.
Let's
what
do
your
it.
gut says. Okay, we're going to start you with some cards from the newest set of Lorcana here. We've got Monstro, Infamous Whale, Captain Hook, the Pirate King, and Beyond the Horizon.
All right. So I know what most of those do. I think this Captain Hook, get him out of here. I don't know what that card does. I know he's like a green steel shift card. Out of here. I am not going to ink Beyond the Horizon because that would be breaking the rules. So I will ink Monstro and I will cast Beyond the Horizon on just myself.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Well played. See, that's what I'm talking about. Very methodical. Really well done.
I think that Monstro combo deck is like honestly pretty good. With the
I want to try it out.
Yeah, that's a hot one.
And let's be clear, it's not a Monstro combo deck. It is a Donald Duck.
It's definitely a
combo
Monstro combo deck. Monstro looks sick. He's just like a giant whale.
Yeah,
he's got some like menacing looking teeth.
Yeah.
Like I would not mess with him. Donald Duck, I would absolutely mess with. That guy is got too much money.
I did see somebody name this deck, and I think it is a brilliant name for this deck, and they called it Moby Duck.
that's amazing.
That's awesome.
That is
so good,
the winner.
Right? Yeah. So Moby Duck, we definitely have to sleeve up
Yeah,
Moby Duck.
Moby Duck.
Give that a shot.
Definitely.
All right, next question here. Our category is Disney villains. So these
All
are
right.
not cards. These are the villains from the movies. Do not factor in the cards here. These are just their
Jafar,
movie
no good
personas.
cards. All right, next.
Jafar, Hades, and Scar.
Okay, well, obviously I'm casting Scar, like, duh. I mean, that guy's insane. That's a tough one. I think Jafar is going into the Inkwell, and Hades later.
Bye, Hades.
Yeah.
Go back to the underworld.
The underworld. Yep, exactly.
Yep. That's fair. As you are a pie-eating champion, as we've established,
Yep.
and you are from the land of the whoopie pie, Maine, we've got some pies to throw at you here.
Okay.
A classic whoopie pie, a blueberry pie, or an apple pie.
I mean, apple pie is instantly getting cast, like, no question. How am I paying for this? I guess the whoopie pie is getting inked, and blueberry pie, I don't know, we can do without.
Yeah, that's fair. I would have probably done the same thing.
A bunch
Here's
of
blueberry pie.
A bunch of Maine blueberry farmers just got really mad, though. All of our blueberry farmer constituents from Maine are just like really mad.
Oh my god,
now.
they're
Stay
behind
mad.
Thiago right now.
Watch out.
Oh my god.
All right, next category. Back to Lorcana. I'll do one more here.
All right.
Let's talk about decks for the upcoming metagame.
Oh, no.
Amethyst Emerald, Ruby Sapphire workshop items, and your old classic that you took down a bunch of tournaments with, Amethyst Steel.
Amethyst Steel is getting banished. That deck is horrible. Do not play that deck. That deck's so bad.
Oh,
That
no.
deck's so underpowered. It does not do anything interesting, like, out of here. We're casting Emerald Amethyst. Like, that deck's so broken. I don't think anyone can beat that deck right now. You have to play some, like, bad deck to beat it. So then you're just losing the rest of the tournament. I think Amethyst Emerald is so strong. And I guess we're inking blue-red.
Fair and considered.
Yeah, well done, methodical as ever. You know, it's really funny you said that about Amethyst Steel because I went into last set being like, okay, like Amethyst Steel is this deck, like it's not great, but like it can beat everything, has game into anything, kinda, you know. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this deck. And I think I played it for like 2 games and was so bored.
It's so
and never
boring.
touched it
It's
again.
so boring. It's like the only fun games you have are where you like dump your hand and like play Dock on turn 4, and then the game just ends the next turn. So it's like you don't even have fun. It's that deck. It's like for babies. That deck. I cannot stand it.
A deck for babies.
Well, Thiago, this has been an absolute delight. We hope that this little chat getting out there will help introduce you to more folks, more Lorcana players, especially, you know, here in New England. And, you know, as maybe DLCs come around again, you'll be a name to watch out for sure, because I think you're an absolutely fantastic player.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to try to travel to everything. I'm like traveling to everything I can right now. Like I played in the SCG last 2 weeks ago. I went to the SSG now, which qualified me to the SSG like invitational or whatever whenever that happens. I today bought my plane ticket to Atlanta in 2 weeks for CCS, so like I'm trying to go to everything. So hopefully the DLCs cannot come fast enough, that's for sure.
Yeah, they will. They'll come back with a vengeance. I feel like we're going to get a Northeast one soon too, so that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely don't hate us.
No, they definitely don't.
I
No,
hope
they're
so. I
definitely not
hope so.
avoiding us for any reason.
Well, awesome, Thiago. Thank you so much for taking the time away from your busy competitive pie eating / Lorcana schedule
Yeah.
and chatting with us.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me.
Well, that was a really cool contest to watch. And of course, Thiago took down the pie eating contest.
I'm so happy that Smorkana Cafe is branching out into the competitive food circuits here. It's about time.
Listen, it is a magical restaurant and capable of whatever they set their mind to. So I think that it makes a lot of sense for them to branch out.
Hello.
Hi, Helga.
I have dessert for you.
That looks like a monstrous stack of pies.
Is blueberry pie, apple pie, cherry pie, pecan pie,
Yeah, a lot of pies, Helga.
key lime pie, lemon meringue pie, huckleberry pie,
Wow, that's so many pies, Helga. Yeah, thank
strawberry
you.
rhubarb pie, Chicken pot pie.
Oh my God. Is that it?
Apple crumble pie.
Well, thank you, Helgo. So we can have whatever of these we want, or these are left over from the contest?
On the house. Wow.
Whoa, cool.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's great. I don't know that I'm really in the mood for chicken pot pie for dessert, but I'm going to probably take a slice of pecan pie. I think if I have to pick one kind of pie that's my favorite, it would probably be pecan pie.
Really?
Yeah, a warm pecan pie with some vanilla ice cream on top.
I'm a classic apple pie kind of guy.
You sure are.
But any kind of fruit pie is good. It's more about the pastry for me. I need that pastry to hold up and have good flaky structure to it.
Yeah, you want it to have some girth.
I mean, I don't want it to have too much girth. The pastry, it's all about the pastry, right? The pastry has to be right.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can't have a soggy bottom.
No, you cannot. Most certainly not.
Well, I'm in the mood for something a little bit lighter, for a dessert, as it were, after all of that competitive talk.
Yes, definitely. And all that competitive talk has me thinking about prizes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about prizes, I think about all the great, fantastic things that you can be rewarded when you play Lorcana.
What is your favorite kind of prize? Your favorite Lorcana merch? Your favorite Lorcana swag? Something that says, I did good.
Well, my favorite Lorcana prize, the memories you make along the way.
Uh-huh. Naturally.
But my other favorite prize would be Lorcana pins, baby! Disney pins are a big deal. If you've ever been lucky enough to go to a Disney park in your life and see people trading pins, pins are kind of like a Disney thing. Disney and pins go hand in hand. So it makes a lot of sense that Disney's Lorcana, presented by Ravensburger, would have pins. But the real question, Brett, is what do you do with all of these pins?
Right. Where do you display them? How do you use them? How do you show them off? Right. You have these, they're fairly sizable pins that have often two different posts in the back. So you have to make a conscious decision about what you're going to do with these pins. And so we wanted to give you some ideas of how you can best show them off, how you can best accessorize.
We want to help you solve any possible Lorcana-related problems you may be facing in your day-to-day life.
Okay, Katie. So what is the number one easiest way to implement your Lorcana pins?
Coming in at number 1, slap it on a backpack. Put it on the backpack that you bring to every set champ, that you bring to play casually at your store. Some people line them up, alphabetical order, etc. Some people put them right on the top of their backpack, the back of their backpack. Can't go wrong.
It's nice because you never will mistake your Lorcana backpack for another backpack. You'll be like, oh yeah, that must be the Lorcana backpack because it has 14 solid hunks of metal with Disney characters all over it.
Exactly.
All right. What else? What else can we do with our pins?
Well, you could put them on a jacket, perhaps your lapel of your coat, etc.
Yeah, we see casters, right? The casters for the DLCs or for Continentals, they'll often wear their favorite pin or representative pin on their lapel. Definitely a great way to accessorize. Now, they are, again, pretty beefy, and so you want something with a bit of heft to it. That's why we recommend the lapel for sure, because it's going to hold up nicely. Like if you just pin it to a t-shirt, your t-shirt's going to sag way down. So you need something that's a little bit stiff.
How else can we display these, implement them, use them in our life?
This is my favorite method, and this is what we do at home, is we put them on a bulletin board.
Yeah.
So we have a bulletin board that is kind of specifically for our Lorcana pins. We have some pictures, right? We have some photos and some other like scrapbooky things. And then, along the bottom of this bulletin board, we have all of our Lorcana pins, and they look really cool all lined up together.
Exactly.
What else can you do, Katie? What's something maybe a little bit, more esoteric?
Yeah, if you want to get a little more creative here, you could make them into a barrette.
What is a barrette?
It's like the clip that goes in your hair.
You could turn the pin into a hair clip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you fasten that onto any kind of a barrette with just some hot glue or even super glue, and you're golden. Then you could wear that in your hair to a set champ and look like a real G.
So you're talking about this idea because specifically the size is kind of right?
Yeah, I think the size is right. I think barrettes are typically some kind of a flat metallic design anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they don't have a decal on them, but if they have a decal like a flower or a butterfly, it's typically flat and metal, like a pin.
Okay, so it's naturally a kind of a cousin to a barrette and could easily be turned into a barrette.
Yeah, you'd have to take the posts off of it. You'd have to take the spiky posts off.
Okay,
obviously.
I'd recommend an angle grinder for that for sure. So you angle grind the posts off and then hot glue them to a barrette.
Thank you. That's it. Exactly.
Okay, sure. Great. Love that.
How else could you use them, Brett?
Well, I'm thinking, and this is something that I know it's more of a European style, but I think I'd like to see it migrate over to the States for sure. You can turn these pins into earrings.
Oh!
Yeah. Now they're pretty hefty, but they already have these posts. They already have post backings. And so, as long as you already have your ears pierced, you might as well just slide these puppies on.
That's a really smart idea.
I would recommend using the inside post, as it were, and not the outside. If you use the outside, then they're going to tilt away from each other, and that would be a kind of faux pas.
Yeah, we mustn't have any faux pas when we are wearing our Disney pins
They're
as earrings.
Probably too big to put through a nose piercing.
Well, yeah, they could get in the way of breathing.
Exactly. I think it would be difficult to breathe if they were used as a nose piercing. But on your ears, they should be totally fine. Bonus points if you have multiple ear piercings, because then you could secure them really well to your ears. And it might help with some of the weight. I know some people, who have weak ears, they complain about when they use only the single post of these really heavy pins that it pulls on their ears. But if you do have multiple piercings, you can use both of the posts, and they look really, really good up there.
And that could help to sort of bounce away some sounds. If you're playing Lorcana like in a set champ and you're wearing these earrings, right? You can sort of noise cancel the room with those pins.
Yeah, they have a great kind of ancillary noise canceling benefit. It's nice. It's really, really nice. Now, Katie, what if you are not of pierced ears?
Sure. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't have their ears pierced, right?
Yeah, what can I do?
And the lucky news for you is that most humans have cartilage all over their bodies.
Okay.
You could put this anywhere, really. You could fasten a pin to your hands.
So you're saying that you press the pins into your hands?
Yeah, fasten them into your hands.
Okay. Do you hammer them in?
No, I mean, you wouldn't hammer them into your ears either, right?
Right.
You just put them in there.
I don't know if you would. I've never had my ears pierced.
It's pretty easy. Just puncture it into your hand.
Okay, push hard enough to... So you're going to say cartilage, you're basically looking for a bit of soft flesh to push the pin into.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Don't hit bone.
Right. Of course. You couldn't wear a pin in your kneecap.
No, that would be so gross.
But maybe that soft bit between your thumb and your index finger. Put some pins there, and then when you're shuffling, you could represent some of your favorite characters with your bling.
In your webbing, yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay, so webbing, pin webbing pins. Great, love that.
Now, we've talked about how you're going to display them on your body, right? But I'm thinking, what are some ways that you can have them in your life, perhaps at home? Where would you find them in your more domestic life? We don't need to show them off to everybody. They could just be for you.
What other utility do they have?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of options.
I mean, I can think of them as a great way to tenderize some meat.
Yeah.
Before you put it on the grill this summer for a barbecue.
Absolutely great as meat tenderizers. They are quite heavy. Now you can I would say that you want to be careful of using the post side too much, because you don't want to over tenderize, puncture it a whole bunch, and then, have it kind of leak.
Yes, that's disgusting.
Right. You want to use the flat side, right? And then and hammer your meat, tenderize it with the flat side of the pin.
Exactly.
Because they're nice and hefty, and you can use that to your advantage.
Yeah, they're solid.
Yeah, I love, just grabbing our aerial pin and just slamming some chicken with it before we throw it on the grill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference. It actually keeps the meat more juicy.
Of course, yeah. You need to tenderize.
It's really appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, too, you've been doing a lot of work around our house.
I
wonder
have.
if there's any way that these pins could, potentially bling out some of that work or be helpful.
I don't know if they bling it out. It's more, for me, I'm always happy to see the pins, but just in terms of pure usefulness, they have been an absolute game changer around the house.
Oh, you have been using them?
Yeah, I have been. And I'm glad that you couldn't tell.
No.
Yeah, they've really stood up to the hard work because I've been putting them through their paces. If you're missing some of these tools at home, folks, and you have these Lorcana pins, well, you're made in the shade.
Oh my
now,
gosh.
I've used these pins. First of all, you can attach them to a drill in so many ways. Just as a 1/16 inch drill bit, those posts, amazing. But also, if you were to array them in a sort of splash pattern, right, you can use 3 or 4 of these pins as a paddle mixer and stir your paint.
Sure.
Stir your concrete.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
If you're needing to patch your foundation, attach a few pins. Grab your Mad Hatter, your bolt, and your Rapunzel pin, attach them to your drill, bam, a nice little paddle mixer.
Bam.
And there's a really nice enamel on them so they clean up easy afterwards. Now, I can also tell you that if you were to invert the pin, attach the post to the drill, and then wrap the facing of the pin in sandpaper, well, folks, you have a great orbital sander.
Yeah, that's easy.
Easy.
Super easy.
Super versatile. So, these are clearly the kinds of prizes that Ravensburger wanted to promote, ones that are flashy, but are also great tools that will withstand the test of time.
Certainly. I mean, I'm thinking about even using them for my health.
Yeah, go on, please.
Well, it's important to take your vitamins. It's
Uh-huh.
important to have supplements and make sure that you're getting all of your important minerals into your diet every day, right?
Mhm.
Now I'm thinking we've been gifted, essentially, right, from playing Lorcana, you're gifted these tokens of nutrients.
Yeah.
There's lots of untapped minerals in those
They
pins.
are packed with minerals. Holy cow. I mean, we're talking about zinc. We're talking about copper. We're talking about iron.
Exactly. Now, to get the minerals out of these and to be able to digest them, you obviously they can't eat a pin.
Right.
We're not saying that. Don't eat pins.
Don't eat the pins, people.
But you could perhaps melt down the pins and mix them into a smoothie or your morning coffee.
Mold them into tablets. But I think the most obvious is to pulverize them.
Sure, just explode them.
Yeah, I mean, you can either pulverize them with a large, hammer, an industrial jackhammer, or you can just blow them up with some, C4, TNT.
Dynamite.
Yeah, some dynamite for sure. Blow up your pins, collect the fragments, and then, eat them a piece at a time.
This solution, folks, is really only applicable if you have multiples of these pins, right? If you are overloaded with pins, because you won't be able to melt it all down again to reform this pin. So if you choose to use them for mineral supplements, you won't be able to use that pin again.
Right. It will be more difficult if your pin has been blown up to wear it. I do have one last idea.
Okay, throw it at us. Give us one more way. We've come up with a lot of great ways here to use pins.
And this one is kind of obvious, but I think it just is worth mentioning.
Sure.
That these make great self-defense tools.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, they throw very much like a ninja star.
Oh, and you keep the posts on for this, like they're like a
Yeah.
spiky ninja star.
Yes. You can attach them to your belt using the posts, so that they're always accessible. You can, pull them out that way. And then the edges of the pin are quite effective as weapons. So
That's brilliant.
yeah, I'm sure everybody's thought of that, but it just definitely bears mentioning when you're carrying around lots of valuable Lorcana cards. You never know when an assailant will try to take them from you, and you can always arm yourself with your pins.
Of course. Safety's the most important thing here, folks. I know we often say that snacks are the most important, but safety's a close second.
And the right to bear pins is enshrined in our Constitution. So don't forget that right, Avail yourself of your right to wear your pins as self-defense tools.
And God bless America.
I ate so much pie.
It was so good, though.
I had like 7 pies.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
7 different kinds of pie. I'm not like Thiago. I can't just
okay.
crush a whole bunch of pies. But I had a piece of a bunch of different pies.
That's still a lot of pie.
It
I'm
was
really
a lot of
proud
pie
of you.
for me. It was a lot of pie for me.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, should we hit the road?
I think we should get a little mint first after all these different flavors of pies.
Oh, do you have some?
Yeah, I've got a couple mints in my pocket here.
Ooh, Katie, you have made us dream cards this week.
I sure have.
These are yours.
They're all mine.
Tell us about them.
Well, so I was thinking, we were talking to Thiago, right? He is a fantastic Lorcana player that we don't know much about yet, but he's great at gaming. And that made me think about 2 Disney characters that we might not know much about yet, but are great at gaming. Now, Lorcana has given us a lot of really good deep cuts, right? We've gotten Royal Guard Bovine Protector, the one that goes, I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home?
Yep.
We've got Prince Ahmed this set, right? A crazy deep cut from Aladdin.
Uh-huh.
Now, I have dived into the world of the Emperor's New Groove, and I have highlighted Topo and Eepie. You guys know who they are. Come on.
Oh, yeah, Topo and Eepie, my favorite characters in the Disney canon.
Now, these are 2 characters from the end of The Emperor's New Groove who are playing chess when they're stopped and asked where Yzma and Kronk have gone. And they have the ever-quotable lines of, how would you describe her? Scary beyond all reason. When they're talking about Yzma. So these 2 each have their own cards. Topo is a 3-cost inkable, 3/3 Storyborn with Challenger +1. He quests for 2 and has the ability
Fierce Rivalry. Characters named Eepie gain Reckless. Topo, Chess Champion. And then Eepie, Chess Champion, has the same exact stats. He's a 3-cost inkable Emerald character, 3 Strength, 3 Willpower, quests for 2, Challenger +1. And then he has the ability, Fierce Rivalry. Characters named Topo gain Reckless.
So these 2 common cards give each other Reckless because they are competing against each other in their game of chess in this narrative that we can delve so far into and try to create a whole world around.
Really fun and thematic cards here, Katie. These are slightly above the curve in terms of, we've seen 3 3s for 3 that quest for 2 in a couple of other colors. I don't know if we've seen this exact stat line in Emerald, but it is a stat line that we've seen. They're a little bit above the curve because they have that Challenger +1. So a little bit of a benefit and then a little bit of a drawback in that if your opponent is playing the opposing chess champion, then your version is going to gain Reckless.
And they do have that Challenger buff that should help them if they are given Reckless. It might not be a total disaster for you. They do have 3 but. Could be helpful. I think they're really fun, and I love that Lorcana goes for some deep cuts, and I wouldn't be surprised if someday we saw Topo and Eepie. Now, I obviously think of myself as quite a big Disney fan, and I had no idea that they even had names.
Yeah, how did you find that?
I think they give them names in the sequel, in Kronk's New Groove.
Okay.
And or in the TV show that they made in like the 2000s, because on the Disney Wiki, there's like a page about them. And it says that they're referenced in those other movies, too.
You were like, who are the chess champions? Who are the chess players in Emperor's New Groove? And it led you down a huge rabbit hole.
Yes, it did.
Awesome. Well, these are great, Katie. Way to go.
Tasty, tasty mints. All right, Brett, what's next on the menu here?
Well, we have another very special guest lined up for next week, one that we've been trying to get on the pod for a little while, and that we are so excited to talk with.
Who is it?
We'll see.
Oh, it's a surprise.
You'll have to tune in next week and find out. In the meantime, please do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It is very, very helpful. It leads others to this podcast.
Yeah, we love hearing from you. We love hearing what you're playing. Tell us what's going on in this new meta. Have you opened any chanties? Are you snacking on anything? Have your snacks influenced the amount of chanties you have pulled? Tell us how to do this.
You can do that at Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Blue Sky or at smorcana@gmail.com.
So in the meantime, folks, keep on snacking.
Ah.